In this video, we're going to be talking about activating and bookmarking Seesaw, as well as some of the different account and class settings. We'll also be talking about creating folders and introducing the blog. First, if you haven't already, find the email from Seesaw to activate your account. After you've logged into Seesaw, it's nice because it keeps you logged in. Just make sure to bookmark Seesaw so it's easily accessible. After you've logged in and bookmarked Seesaw, we're going to talk next about the account settings. And these are the settings that change for all of your classrooms and the overall account. When we're looking at the account settings, we go to the top left corner and click here. This is where the different classrooms you might have would be, and the gear up here is where the account settings are. If you need to sign out, this is also where you sign out. So you go to account settings, and here is your profile. You can add a photo if you would like to add a photo of yourself. If you ever need to change your password, this is where you can change your password. And if you scroll down, there is also the different notification settings. So this is how many emails and push notifications families will receive, as well as what class notifications you are going to have. So if you ever find you're getting a lot of notifications, you can change these settings. With Seesaw for Schools through the administrator access, the district will be creating classes and adding our students, which will sync nightly through Skyward. They will also have the ability to set some default settings within Seesaw. Grade level standards will be added to the Seesaw skills, and priority standards will be marked to make them easier to search for. And students will be logging in through the Clever app. The great thing about Clever is they will be able to sign in with their email, and it will keep them logged into Clever as well as keep them logged into Seesaw, so they won't have to keep logging into different platforms. Next, we're going to be looking at our class settings, or the wrench, which is located in the top right corner of each classroom. Now, a lot of these settings we won't need to dive into too deep, because with Seesaw for Schools, our students and skills are going to be added by the admin. It's important to note that each of your classrooms will have their own set of settings. I would recommend starting out by creating a sample classroom. So you're going to go up to the top left corner and click where your name is, create a new class, and you can create a sample class. Pick your grade level and add it. Here is my sample classroom that I've been playing around with. And this just gives you the opportunity to play around with Seesaw until the district pushes out our classrooms. And when they push out our classrooms, they're going to give us a kind of a generic name of characteristics of a successful learner and our name along with it. So if you'd like to change that, you're going to go up to the wrench, and this is where all these settings are. So if I wanted to change my classroom name and change it there. This is also where you would change a grade level. You can manage co-teachers. So if you want to add support staff, you can add support staff through managing co-teachers, and they will have all the same rights as you do as a teacher. You can change the theme and the icon. If you want, you can take a second to pause the video, log into Seesaw, and create a sample class. The next group of settings we're going to look at are the student settings. Now, in the past, you would add your own students and manage students yourselves. But with Seesaw for Schools, it's going to sync nightly through Skyward. So these top three you won't really need to worry about at all. The next two kind of go together. Seesaw is set up to be kind of like a newsfeed like Facebook of all of students' work, and it's a portfolio of their work throughout the year. When you're at school, your students will be able to see everyone's work. So right here where it says students can see each other's work, it is set up with Seesaw for Schools that at school, when it's on the internet at school, everybody will be able to see everybody's posts. But when they go home, for privacy reasons, they will only be able to see their own feed. So anything they are tagged in and anything they upload, they will not see each other's work. So if they're not seeing each other's work when they're home, I will talk about the blog in just a minute, but you can also add some things to the blog. But and that's where they can see each other's stuff and like and comment. But for the most part, they will only be able to leave likes and comments at school. So if you want to keep the likes on, or if you want to turn them off, because it can be an issue of who has the most likes, and then comments, you can turn them on. I like to keep the comment approval on because I like to know what my students are saying to one another. The next part is new items needing approval. I would highly recommend turning that on because, and I'll tell you why more in the skills video, but it does get a little overwhelming, I can say. So you can see over here, I have 2 unapproved posts, but if I had 4 activities for the day and I had 20 kids, that's 80 activities, if they all did them, that I would have to approve in that day. So it can get overwhelming, but I will talk about in the Seesaw for Skills how to make it a little less overwhelming, as well as why it's important, not important, but why it can be beneficial to keep that on. Enabling item editing, I would keep that on as well, and we'll discuss that more in the family blog or the family section about why it's helpful to have an item editing. And that's more because if a student uploads something too quickly and didn't finish, or needed to change something and their grown-up saw, their grown-up can help them and edit the item. And then because we're on Seesaw for Schools and we're paying by student, I would also recommend keeping the sample student available. I log in as a student on my iPad, and I will, every assignment that I create, I try to make sure that I try to complete the assignment as the sample student so that I can make sure that the activity is working the way I wanted it to. The next group of settings is the family settings, and this is where you're going to find family access and inviting families. There's different ways you can invite families. You can print invitations, you can share an invite link, or you can enter emails or phone numbers of families. This is where you can manage families and invite them again. This is any pending family approvals because you have to approve them. And this is the settings for if you would like families to be able to like and family sharing. So we'll talk more about the blog in the family video, but just as an overview, the blog is just a great way to be able to let the kids see each other a little bit more. And because of the way the settings are, they won't be able to see each other's work. So anything that you want them to be able to see of each other, you as the teacher can share to the class blog. The different settings for the class blog are, obviously you'll first need to enable and create a class blog. This I turned off where students can share things to the class blog themselves. And then there's just like the class settings or the blog settings where you can show folders, enable comments, and I usually choose to password protect my blog as well, just to keep it safe. And then there's also blog appearance and viewing the blog. Again, we'll talk more about that in the family access as well, but it's just a great way to keep that classroom culture alive. The next section is folders. I'll show you what to kind of see when you have folders, but first, these are just the 2 settings you have. You can choose who can add things to folders. I personally just choose just me. I teach 5-year-olds, so they don't really need to be adding things to folders, but I know some teachers may want students to have access to that as well. And managing folders. So here are the folders that I utilized last year. So I can read students reading at their level just for fun, like videos and things and art projects, math, phonics and phonemic awareness, poetry, read aloud responses, sight words, and writing. What that looks like, and you can create your own folders, but what that looks like in Seesaw is you can see it and the students can see folders. The parents can see things tagged in a folder. So this is tagged in the math folder, but they cannot search by a folder on the parent app. So if it was under Abby's, Abby could click this folder and she can search by all of her math items and it's organized by math. or she can look up just her sight word items, and she doesn't have any. Or I can look at all of the students' math or phonics. Whatever folders you have created, you can look up by those folders. Parents, again, can't see, like they can't look up by a folder like that. It won't go to their folder. You can also look at folders within the blog as well. So that is one way, parents, if you had some of their classwork, you could search that way. So that is where the folders are, and it's a nice way to organize activities so you can search by a certain theme. If you want to take a second to pause and create some folders, you can do that now. To add something to a folder, there's a couple of ways you can do it. So you can go right here to the activity after it's created and added, and you can click to check and add it to a folder. So this was sight words, so I can click and add it to the activity. I can also do it when I am assigning an activity. So when I go to assign an activity, I can, so if I'm sending it to this class, I can edit and I can add it to the folder for everyone all at once right here. And I can also at that time add the skills folders and who the students I'm sending it to. And then I will assign the activity. Then I can go back to class, and that activity will already be in a folder. The last of the settings are the skill settings, which we'll go over in the skills video, but this is just how you manage the skills, which you can, they're going to be added already, but you can add additional ones if you'd like to, and then just the rating, as well as a couple of different settings as well if you want to save to camera roll and the quality of the upload. So a quick overview of Seesaw as a whole to kind of wrap this up is you'll have your account settings in the top right corner, or this is top left corner over here. And this is where you can access your account settings under the gear, as well as if you have multiple classrooms. Over here, when you're looking, this is your news feed. This is where all of your students' work will be. This red bar right here is where you will see the unapproved posts. So if you have that setting where you have to approve posts, this is where you click to approve posts. So this is one of my students that hasn't been approved yet. This is where I would grade them. I could approve it right here. They will not be able to see it until it is approved. And then when you're looking at the different posts that students have uploaded, there at the bottom, you can like, comment. I like to leave audio comments on really good work. This is where you can add teacher notes, and these are going to be only visible to all the teachers. So you can write a private note that families won't be able to see. This is where you access to add skills. If you haven't already added something to a folder, this is where you would add it if you didn't add it for the whole activity. And this is where you can publish it to the blog. On the right side of your page, you have the add button where you can post student work, assign an activity, or send an announcement to students. You can search by folder or student. This is the journal. This is where you'll see all of their work. This is activities, where you can see all the assigned activities you already have assigned. Inbox, where you can send announcements. Skills, and the blog, as well as the wrench, where you will have all your classroom settings. To kind of practice getting familiar with Seesaw, you can log in and create your password, verify your information, and add a practice classroom. You can also use this time to kind of set up some folders and think about what folders you would like to have, as well as explore the different settings and create a blog.